Assalamualaikum and greetings to Dr. Saizal. I'm Karnita binti Bahar and my metric number is BB22110705. I'll be presenting part 1, which is construct appropriate chart to compare the relative frequency and cumulative relative frequency between the two metrics. First of all, we have to divide the data into classes, and here we have 5 classes for number of visit and number of purchase order. The range of group classes for number of visit is 7 and the range of group classes for number of purchase is 26. After we find the frequency for each classes, then we have to find the relative frequency for each classes. To find the relative frequency, we have to divide the frequency with total frequency. For example, here the first relative frequency for number of visit is 3 divided by 30 equals to 0.1. Then, we have to use the same formula to find relative frequency for other classes, including classes for number of purchase. Next, we have to find the cumulative relative frequency for both metrics. To find cumulative relative frequency, we can use the formula by adding all the previous relative frequency to the relative frequency for the current row. For example, first, cumulative relative frequency for number of visit is 0.1, and to find the second one, we have to add 0.33, so the answer is 0.43. We also have to use the same formula to find cumulative relative frequency for number of purchase. So, here is the bar chart of relative frequency for both number of visit and number of purchase order. Besides, here is the line chart of cumulative relative frequency for both number of visit and number of purchase order. That's all for part 1. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Anisha binti Abdullah. My matrix number is BB22110294. I'm going to present for the part 2 for our group assignment, which is to calculate and compare measure of central location between the two metrics, which means we have to find the mean, median and mode for each dataset. So how to calculate mean? First, we need to add up all the values in the dataset and divide by the number of values. To calculate the median, arrange all the value in order and find the middle value for average of the middle two values if there are even number of values. To calculate the mode, find the values that occurred most frequently in the dataset. Compare the measure of central location between different datasets. First, we count for number of visit dataset for the mean. We sum all of the data into number of visits and we divide by 30. And we get 37.713 million. For the median, first we need to arrange all of the data of the number of visits become as any order, then we take the average of the two middle value. If the number of observation is even, so we sum the value, which is the two value, and divide by 2. Then we get 34.5 million. For the mode, number of visits is 34.1 million. Second, we count for number of purchase order dataset for the mean. We sum all of the data as well into the number of purchase order and we divide by 30. And we get 166.817 million. Same goes with dataset number of visit, which is the data of number of purchase order. We sum the value, which is the two value, and divide by 2. Then we get 163.9 million. For the mode, there are no mode for this dataset because both of data do not have any same value that occurred 2 times. After that, we compare this dataset. We can see for the mean, number of purchase order dataset is higher than number of visit by 129.104 million. For the median, also the same, which is the data of number of purchase order is higher than number of visit by 129.4 million. For the mode, the number of visit is higher than number of purchase order, which is 34.1 million. That's all from me. I pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm Rizka binti Omar. My matrix number is PB23160907. My part is part 3 about calculate percentile and construct box plot. To calculate percentile, we have to follow the formula for 25%, 50% and 75%. By using the formula, we can get the answer for number of visit and number of purchase order. The answer we get from percentile, we have to calculate for IQR value. And for this question, there is no outlier because there is no data outside the range of this lower limit and upper limit. After that, this is the box plot for the question part 3. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad Ridwan bin Hamdan. My metric number is BB 231611043. I wanna explain about the part 4, which is calculate and compare measure of dispersion between the two metric. There are 5 formula in this part, which is range, mean absolute deviation, variance, standard deviation, and the last is coefficients of variation. The first is range. We get the range number of visit and the range number of purchase order by taking the maximum value minus minimum value from the data. The range number of visit we get is 31,200,000 and the range number of purchase order is 115,400,000. We can conclude the number of purchase order range higher than number of visit. Second is the mean absolute deviation, MAD. The way we get the MAD is by taking one by one number from data and minus with the mean and divided by total of the data columns, which is 30. And MAD of number of visit is 7.45 and MAD number of purchase order is 25.66. The MAD number of purchase order is greater than the number of visit. Next is a variance and standard deviation. The variance formula is almost the same as the calculation method with MAD, but need an addition in the calculation method. The variance number of visit we get 76.10 and variance number of purchase order is we get 987.72. And the standard deviation we can get by using the square of the variance value we get. The standard deviation number of visit we get 8.72 and standard deviation number of purchase order we get 31.43. Since number of purchase order more higher than the number of visit, means number of purchase order is more dispersion than the number of visit. Lastly is coefficient of variation. We can get the CV by dividing the standard deviation value and the mean. The CV number of visit we get 0.23 and the number of purchase order we get 0.19. We can conclude the number of visit is more relative diffusion than the number of purchase because the number of visit is higher than the number purchase order. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hello doctor. My name is Nabil Samsudin. My number is BB22110083. I will explain part 5. The question is calculate and interpret measures of association between the two metrics. In this part, I will explain about measures of association between number of visit and number of purchase order. When number of visit is equal to X and number of purchase order is equal to Y, there is a term measurement that we use. First is covariance and second is correlation. This is the formula how can we get the covariance and correlation. The covariance is described the direction of learning relationship between two variables, which is the number of visit is X and the number of purchase order is Y. The correlation is described both the direction and the strength relationship between two variables Also, which is the number of visit is X and the number of purchase order is Y. This is the step how can we get the covariance by the formula. First, we must define the difference between the X and average value of X. Then second two, we must define the difference between the Y and average value of Y. Then we multiply the difference between each value. After that, we add all that value on the data set. Then we multiply the difference between each value. After that, we add all the value on the data set. After we get that, we divide it with n minus 1, which is equal to 29. The answer of the sample covariance and the final answer we can cumulate is positive. So we can say that the number of visits and the purchase order have a positive relationship. This is the step how can we get the correlation. We have to divide sample covariance with the standard deviation of X multiply with standard deviation of Y. And then we will get the answer is 0.65. So we can say that there is a strong positive relationship between number of visits is X and the number of purchase order Y. That's all from me and thank you.